So, before we take our break, who is our 9th speaker? Let me ask you this question. As she was putting on the medals while she's speaking, one at a time, what started going through your head?
Accomplishment.
Okay, accomplishment?
Hard work.
What was that first one?
Hard work.
Hard work? Good. Did any question come through your mind at all? And I have to tell you that Dale was one of those speakers who was very over-stylized. And she has, contained it so well. So at the first, minute or two of the presentation, there was some signs of it. And when she got comfortable, she let herself go, and she just went right into conversational mode. I don't know if you were able to see the adjustment there as she was speaking. But one of the things I want to work with you on is this. We've been having discussions about Dale's voice. Because she's a person of small stature, she has a small voice. And so what happens is there's a propensity or a potential for people not to take her seriously because of the small voice. So I'm going to do an exercise to see if we can make the voice a little bit bigger, okay? As a speaker, stuff's going to happen to you. You can't let it throw you off your game. You improvise, adapt, and overcome. That's what you have to do. So here's what I'm going to ask you to do. Come and stand right in the middle. Okay, so what I recommended to Dale the other day when we were chatting a couple of weeks ago, I made a recommendation to you. Do you remember what it was?
It was to listen to the song by Billy Joel.
Listen to a song by Billy Joel. And here's why. If you listen to Billy Joel sing, whether you like his music or not is irrelevant. When you listen to Billy Joel sing, if you really listen for it, you're going to notice how over-pronounced he says a lot of his words. So when you're listening to it, you don't hear it. But if you listen for it, you're going to hear it. He opens his mouth very wide when he sings and overpronounces every word. Now, if you're speaking, that's a little bit over the top. But when you've got a small voice, there are things you can do to make it a little bit more dominant. So here's what I'm going to ask you to do. Okay, I'm just going to go to the back, and this is a test. Never done this one before. We'll see if this works. And if it doesn't, I'll just blame Dale. But here's what we're doing. So Dale, I'm going to ask you to pick any part of your presentation. I don't care. The finish line piece. Okay, stop there. Now, here's what I'm going to ask you to do. So audience, just sort of pay attention to what you received there from Dale. So Dale, here's what I'm going to ask you to do. Come up to the front of the stage, right to the edge. Okay? Now, I want you to take a very powerful pose. Feet just about shoulder width apart, and bring your shoulders back just a little bit.
There.
Okay, head up. Now, I'm going to ask you to open up your throat. Now, I don't know if you can do that, if you know what I mean, but I want you to, inside, pull that throat open. And I want you to say the same words, but overpronounce them to the point where you think it's too much.
Okay.
Slow them down, big overpronounce with your mouth and with that throat open. And say those same words to me.
Because I believe that life shouldn't be about winning the race to the grave. It should be about sliding in sideways at the last minute, crossing the finish line with no regrets, and shouting, "Woohoo! What a ride!" Okay, so audience, did you feel any difference in her voice?
Yes.
What was the difference? What did you get?
Wow.
Wow.
More impact.
Yeah, and because now you're never going to be able to take Dale's voice and make it a big booming voice. That's not what we want. But we do want it to resonate. We do want it to be heard. We do want it to be understood. So for you, there's two things you can do. Number one is open up that throat. Everybody do that kind of inside, where you just kind of open up the throat. You'll know what it feels like when you do it. Okay, it's the difference between yes and yes. And not by lowering the voice, by opening the throat. Okay, then you'll get that. And then the second thing is to pronounce. It's the difference between yes and yes. I think Dale deserves her appreciation for being up here. What do you think? Let's thank Dale. Thank Dale.